Welcome to Prompted and Unfiltered, where we ask AI for a topic and it gives us one.
It's harder to start a business than it is for the Atlanta Braves to win a freaking ball game this year.
This week, AI says starting a business from scratch is easy. We agree with that?
Not even a little
No.
bit.
No, not
Nobody
even.
thinks so?
This makes me think that AI is not so much artificial intelligence as it is artificial stupidity.
You might not be wrong. It sounds easy, right? I've got its transcript printed off. It says there is essentially 10 steps to starting and running a business, not just starting, right? So, step one, we have self assessment and idea validation. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Create a business plan. Seems pretty simple. Choose a business structure. Register your business. Step five, set up your finances. Step six, get necessary licenses and permits. Step seven, create a brand and marketing plan. Step eight, prepare to launch. Step nine, focus on sales and customer service. And step 10, keep learning and adapting. Sounds simple. Like, why don't everybody start a business?
Everything
Only it was that
simple on
easy, right?
paper.
We all started one on paper. We basically followed this exact rubric.
If we jump around quite a bit, maybe.
Yeah, forwards and back. So I kind of want to dive into this a little bit and then maybe give some advice on anybody wanting to start a business. Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. Do it. It's fantastic. It's just not easy. I don't think we'd have time to go through everything that AI says is correct, but I think we can definitely hit on some bigger points, like creating a business plan. For that, AI says essentially all you do in creating a business plan is write an executive summary that clearly defines your business's purpose, mission, vision for the future, and conduct a detailed market analysis, including demographics, market size, and customer behavior. Patrick, you've wrote some business plans. Do you think that kind of sums up all you got to do?
I mean, it makes it sound super easy and simple, but yeah, I mean, I guess in a nutshell, that's really all that's needed.
What kind of advice would you have for somebody that's writing their first business plan, getting ready to open?
I think the best thing that you can do is try to find some other people who have done something. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but done something simple, and try to get a look at theirs. Because honestly, most of the time in a business, when it comes to making your plan, you're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Like you're trying to adapt and customize it a little bit, but at the end of the day, like if you're opening a retail business, like let's be honest, most retail businesses from a planning standpoint all operate the same. You buy inventory, you set up your management system, train employees, and you're selling a product. I think that I think that's the biggest thing is like, hey, let's look at this and see what some other people have done. Online, there's tons of sample business plans for almost every industry you can think of. And I think starting with something is a lot easier than starting fresh.
Yeah, I think the biggest factor on creating your business plan, AI says this, do some market research and stuff. Um, I think you got to do a lot of market research. I think just looking at it at the initial concept of, oh, there's 10,000 people in this town or 5,000 people that buy this specific product isn't really going to get you anywhere. I think you got to go a lot deeper in the demographics and the need for your product in your business plan, right?
I
Um,
agree. I think with that too, one thing, not with my current business, but with one of my previous businesses, one thing that I did was I went through my competition's Google reviews because in a lot of industries, your Google reviews are really honest, and so if you spend some time looking through that, you're going to see what they're doing wrong, and if you see what some of your competition is doing wrong, that gives you a chance to really kind of say, okay, well, how can I solve that issue? Like if a customer has an issue with XYZ, whatever it may be. How would I solve that issue as a business owner? And now I can start, kind of beginning with the end in mind. Like, hey, these are some of the issues that could come up. This is how I can develop a brand that overcomes that. If you see, I don't know, I'm going to pick a painting company, for example, and consistently people are complaining about a lack of communication. Now hey, you know what? Communication is important. That's how I can win some of these customers from the competition. And you can build that into your plan just right off the bat.
You guys got anything to add on business plans, Donnie, Brittany?
To be totally honest with you, AI wrote my business plan.
Use your tools, right? Why not?
Absolutely.
I went in and tweaked a few things, but for the most part, AI wrote my business.
Yeah, and I didn't really even do a business plan. I just started.
Okay, Donnie,
Well,
don't think business plans are important, and maybe they're not in all industries.
Yeah, and I would say everything always sounds perfect on paper. Like when you're making a business plan, everything's perfect. It's an ideal situation. You're making money, blah blah blah. But oftentimes, what you find is that hey, my plan isn't realistic. What I was hoping to achieve isn't necessarily as doable in the time frame that I allotted, or necessarily what's best for my business. And so I think that's the last thing I'll say about business plans is that you have to adapt it, and you have to be comfortable saying, hey, you know what, I had this idea, it all sounded good before I got started, but now I need to throw it out and start with something different.
I submit a new business plan every year, write a new business plan every year, with massive ambitions beginning January 1st that I'm going to kill it. And by January 5th, it's like, I should change this, and let's go ahead and switch it up. And I'll change everything in a matter of a minute. I think it's a fantastic idea to have one. I think it's a great idea to follow it. It kind of keeps you structured, keeps you on track. I think the research portion is great as far as knowing who to market to and everything. But it's all subjective and adaptable. Okay, we have difference of opinion. So maybe AI is right. Maybe that portion is easy.
Maybe we just overcomplicate it sometimes.
For everybody wanting to start a business, get your business plan going and just do it. Right? So another one that we can touch on, I know, Brittany, you just went through a lot of struggles with this, and I was hoping you would tell some of our people about that, but registering your business, choosing, what type of company you want to be, setting up your tax accounts, setting up your EIN, everything that has to do with the IRS, bank accounts, and any state licensing or permits you have to get. What's your experience with that recently?
So, didn't have to have any state permits or license to sell online. I don't have a store, physical store, so I didn't have to have permits or license. Getting the EIN was not that difficult. Go to the website, type in your information, get an EIN, go to the bank, set up a business account. Not too bad. Setting up your state taxes in Kentucky was awesome. You had to go on, register with the Secretary of State, get an ID number that you have to get your tax ID number, but they won't give you the ID number online. They have to mail it to you, which takes a week. And you have to, then in the middle of all that, they updated the website or changed the website or shut down the website. I don't know. They did something, and the directions on the paper that came in the mail was not the directions to set up the tax account once the paper got here. So it was a nightmare, but got it all done. Have all tax ID numbers and EIN numbers and everything done finally a month later.
So what you're saying is the state doesn't make it easy for you to start a business.
No, not even a little bit.
I think we're all registered a little bit different too. I operate as a sole proprietor currently. Patrick, I believe you're an S corp. Brittany LLC, Donnie LLC as well. Was it hard to set up that or determine which direction to go for you guys?
It wasn't for me. I just wanted the LLC for protection from my personal stuff. and mine wasn't really difficult at all. I just went on, um, I think it was ink file or something like that. They did everything for me. I just typed in what I wanted, um, and they set everything up for me. It took like, I don't know, it was less than 2 weeks, I think, and then I had everything. They sent me a package, had all my articles of organization and everything like that, EIN number. They did everything. So I didn't really have to do much. The only thing I had to do was set up my um, state tax, and that it was simple in Wisconsin. So
Did you have to do anything, or are you still currently registered in Wisconsin?
I'm still registered in Wisconsin.
Okay, so you operate out of
I
Wisconsin.
operate out
Did,
of Wisconsin, but I do have to. Um, Once I get rolling here, I'll have to do that for Arkansas also for the state tax.
or you can move to Texas like Patrick, where they don't charge state taxes on anything.
Yep.
Does the state have taxes down there for retail? I'm sure they do, right?
Like I have to pay
Like sales
sales
tax.
tax. Yeah.
Sales tax.
Yeah, sales tax is still a thing, and it's like a 1% higher than like it was in Georgia and Indiana, because Georgia and Indiana both are pretty similar. I say that, and I haven't been to either state in several years, but but yeah, it's a slightly higher, but they also don't charge any sales tax on like food and certain essentials and stuff, so it's kind of nice.
So, what's one piece of advice that you guys would give everybody when they are setting up and registering tax accounts, business accounts, all of that stuff?
I
Make
think my
sure
advice would be first off. My advice would be first off, when you're registering for your EIN, it is super simple. It's on the IRS website. Don't fall for one of those scams where they try to charge you a bunch of money, because it is free, and paying money for it is not going to make it any easier. I have a lot of friends who paid a bunch of money and they fill out the form, and I'm like, you realize that you just filled out the same form that the IRS has. Like, it's all the same information. So don't fall for that. That would be my first thing. And then my second thing would be, don't cheap out on your accountant. Your accountant can make or break you in a lot of ways, and that's the reason that I actually have the S corp, is because we hit a point where it was much more tax advantageous for us to transition from a sole proprietorship to an S corp. And when you're starting off, I mean, you want to run things as cheaply as you can, but don't skimp out on your accountant. And I would talk to your accountant before you get started, because they may have some ways to help you save some money in the long run.
Brittany forgot what she was going to
no,
say.
I didn't. I was waiting. I was making sure he was done first. So my advice is just make sure you keep all your paperwork in one spot, because you're gonna need it 100 times while you're trying to do this. So make sure you know where every piece of mail that comes in is located at, because you're going to need it. And make a folder in your email for all your business emails, because you will get a ton of them.
Donnie's got no advice.
No, I mean, not really. I just make sure you keep all your paperwork on all this stuff together. I mean, like I said, they put all mine together in one. I've got one binder that has everything, but I don't have that here. It's in Wisconsin, so. But I can get online into the account that I created it in, and I can get everything on there. So.
That's good.
My
That could
piece
be
of
inconvenient
advice.
having to go to Wisconsin every day.
That's fine. My piece of advice is watch out for the letters in the mail once you register a business. Everybody seems to watch that, and you're going to have people calling and offering to file unnecessary paperwork for you, to set up unnecessary accounts. Now, some of that stuff you have to do. I know recently we had the beneficial ownership thing that passed in the U.S., and then they took it away and it didn't actually pass. But everybody and their mother was sending out a letter to all businesses basically saying, hey, let me charge you $500 to register as a beneficial owner for all of your LLCs or whatever. That is also a free form. you had to fill it out. It was super simple. Um, I know some of us were exempt from that, and like I said, it didn't pass anyway. But there's always people looking to take advantage of small businesses. So just be on the lookout for that, and that will come as soon as you file your registration with the state. I think people just watch that, and it's like, who can we prey on now? You guys have experiences with that too?
Yeah, absolutely. I do know like there are businesses where that's their entire marketing strategy is they buy the press releases or not press releases, the public notices every week of who filed a business that week, and that's their mailing list, you know. And for some industries it's very lucrative. I think the lending industry really benefits from that a lot, but for other industries it's just fodder for scammers.
Right. So registering a business, not too hard. Takes some work, lots of paperwork. That's what we've decided. Um, oh, here's a good one that it says is also pretty easy. Donnie, you can probably talk on this one. Recently been kind of revamping yours, but it says when you're creating a brand and a marketing plan, essentially all you have to do is define your brand's personality, include a logo, color scheme, and fonts, and build a professional website that has service, product pages, and contact information. How do you feel about that marketing plan?
It'd be nice if it worked.
Be nice if it worked.
It's not that
Right.
well. I mean, it worked, but it's not that simple. Uh, when I mean, when I first went into business, I didn't do any marketing. Um, I gave my employer a 2 month notice, and that whole 2 months I was just giving out business cards, and I'd been in people's homes for 8 years with that company in and out of their homes, so they knew me, knew what I did. I didn't have any
I think
trouble
you
with.
should clarify that you were working out of their
Yeah.
homes and not just breaking in at night.
Well, yeah, home services, repairs and things, and yep. So yeah, I didn't. I mean, I didn't do any marketing at all, and I had plenty of work all the time. So then, when we made the move here to Arkansas, then um, I talked to different people here before we moved, and they said, no, there's nobody in this area that does what you do. People have to come from, 30, 40 minutes away, nobody local. So they said, you'll do just fine here. And that's been totally opposite. So it's, which my brand, I think I did my logo and stuff. I think I did that right when I first started. I actually talked to a guy in one of the supply houses last week, um, and he seen my name on my shirt, and he said, "I like that name." He said, "How did you come up with that?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I just wanted something that is not just plain. I wanted something that would cover not just heating, air conditioning, or appliances, or some other kind of repair. I wanted something that would cover everything." And because years ago when I did heating and air conditioning, it was just my name, Tober's Heating and Cooling, and that's what everybody does. But that's not really creating a brand. But he really liked the logo and the name. He said that's a really good name. And they said the same thing. You're going to do great in this area because there's nobody in that area. Um, but the marketing has been tough to figure out because I never had to do it before. But as far as marketing, though, I think Facebook is the way to go for marketing. It's cheap, um, and you reach way more people. I mean, you can do billboards and stuff, but I think you reach more people, and it's cheaper with like Facebook or Instagram, those types of things. But it is definitely not easy.
So, from what you're saying, you did do marketing in the beginning, but it was a
It
different
was a
kind of
yeah,
marketing. It
right.
was, yeah. you were face to face. You were, I
Yeah.
think, what a lot of people call guerrilla marketing, right? You
Right.
were already in their doors, talking to people, shaking hands, kissing babies. Don't kiss the
Yeah.
wrong baby. Some people get mad about that. Hand, foot, mouth disease or something. I don't know. But and now, relocating, your marketing strategy had to change.
Yep.
So I think adapting to your current environment, and that environment will always change. It'll always shift
Right.
as new things come out, as people's interests change. Right now, like you said, Facebook is a big deal. A lot of people use social media. They use
Yep.
TikTok. They use Instagram, Facebook. I think since all of those social media platforms have really blown up over the last, what would you guys say, 15 years, 10 to 15 years, everybody is on there.
Yep.
People are probably, and this is nowhere near accurate, but I believe people are probably on social media now on average more than they're watching television for the television ads. Like, I think you're spot on there. I think 100% they're more on social media than they're reading newspaper, right? 20 years ago, newspaper ads was probably one of the biggest forms of marketing that you can do. But now, does anybody really look at the ads in a newspaper?
I don't even know if anybody even gets a newspaper anymore.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Justin, you might be reading the newspaper on your own up there.
I don't get a newspaper, but for a while in college, because I'm a big finance guy. I love finance, love keeping up with the markets, things like that. Um, I was subscribed to the Wall Street Journal. Like, I enjoyed reading that, at least bits and pieces of it. Like, I would never read cover to cover or anything like that. Um, Also, reading the sell ads, not sell ads. That's not what it's called. But um, before Craigslist got big, people selling stuff. They put in a newspaper. There was that section,
Classified.
Classifieds.
classified. Boom, there it is. I would always look through that. I think I bought a car off there once, but does that even exist anymore? I don't know.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. That's Craigslist now.
Yep.
And the
Exactly.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace, right? I think marketing has definitely changed. I think Donnie's right. It's not simple. I think you're always having to adapt. Um, your logo is a very powerful thing, like you said. So make sure you put some time into your logo and your thought process, because that's the first thing people see.
Yep.
So don't just draw a stick figure and say, "Oh, this is my logo and I'm going to brand it."
And then
Yeah,
you
and the
just
other
have
thing
AI
was,
make it. You just get an idea and you just have AI make your logo. That worked out perfect for me.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is too, customer service. Um, I one of the guys I worked with years ago, he was a horrible technician. I mean, he was horrible. He couldn't fix anything. I hated going back on his calls, but he was as far as talking with the customer and getting them to like him. I mean, everybody loved him, but he was a horrible technician. So I think customer service goes a long way too.
as marketing, yeah, I think so. Referral based marketing, you're going to refer people to the people that you like. I mean, also the people that does a good job. So,
Yeah.
kind of conflict that one. But Patrick, what would you say marketing would have? What kind of impact would marketing have on a new business?
I think it's kind of the lifeblood, especially on a new business. Like, if you can't create awareness around you as a brand and as a company, then your business is going to starve. I mean, you need the river of marketing kind of pushing more and more people to you. So I think it's probably, like, aside from managing your finances properly, marketing is probably the most important thing you're going to do year one, year two, probably through year three, when you kind of start to transition into a little bit more stable area. I mean, and I think, kind of building on what Donnie said, like, you can make marketing as simple or as complex as you want to. I think just starting off businesses should absolutely be all over social media. Like, they have free things you can be doing. It doesn't cost anything to make a funny video and advertise your brand at the end of it. You can do the paid ads and things like that, of course, but that should be the first thing that you do just to kind of drive that brand awareness, if nothing else. And because if people don't know you exist, they can't come and visit you. And whether that's calling you to come into their home or visiting your actual physical location, if they don't know you exist, they're not going to come. Kind of field of dreams moment there. If you build your marketing, they will come. I think that from a complexity standpoint, like if you're a non-national brand, like a non-franchise, yes, there is SEO, there is all this complex Google ads and things like that you can get into. But if I was starting all over again without the national brand that I have backing me up, I would focus on social media alone, because you can spend so much time in SEO and really not get results out of it unless you have professionals managing it, which is expensive, or you're spending hours and hours and hours in there. And so I think that from a simplicity and complexity standpoint, keep it simple when you're starting off. Take advantage of the free stuff, take advantage of networking and things like that, and then start building a little bit more sophisticated marketing machine over time. Don't expect to be there day one.
Brittany, I know marketing for you is going to be tougher, I guess Donnie too, right? Than somebody with a physical location. People see, signs and things like that. Being a online bookstore only, like your only presence is the World Wide Web, right? Do you know how many websites are on the internet right now?
Too many.
I think marketing is the only way to stand out, to get people to know your brand. Do you have a marketing plan set up?
It is TikTok, Facebook. That is all. Making videos on TikTok, making posts on Facebook, getting it shared. That's all the marketing I'm doing. Yeah.
Social media is a big factor. Anything
The
else
number
anybody'd
Justin,
like
by
to
the way,
add on marketing?
Our
the
Google
number is
Master here.
$1.1 billion websites.
One what?
1.1 billion, and every day there are around 252,000 new websites launched every day.
You have to be damn good at SEO
Mm-hmm.
to beat people out on that, right?
100%.
Especially without a physical location.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying it cannot be done without marketing.
And I'm saying, once you figured that out, give me a call, because I will pay you a lot of money to keep it going for me.
To keep what going? I'm lost.
The SEO that you set up that beats out all these different websites that you completely pioneered on your own, call me. Like, let's do some business.
Oh no! Don't give him more ideas.
Is there any industry that
he
doesn't
doesn't
have a
enough
website?
hours
That's
in the
what I
day.
want. Yes, I do. I just don't get to sleep anymore.
Yeah. Any businesses that don't have a website?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some. Like older
Yeah,
small businesses, I'm sure.
I ran into some of the heating and air guys and stuff, not here, but in some other places, that they don't have anything online. They still don't accept credit cards, only check or cash. So some of them are still not online. I mean, there's not a ton of them, but there are some out there.
So I would venture to guess the people that aren't online, though, that aren't doing social media, that aren't working a little bit in SEO, buying some sort of ads or marketing, yes, they might be paying their bills, but they're never going to be a big business, right? When you think of big business, like they're limiting themselves by not being everywhere. I think a big, I guess, benefit of marketing is it gives you the opportunity, unlike the people that don't do that, to be everywhere, right? You don't have to be face to face for everybody to see you. There is, I'm not going to pick a number because everybody makes fun of me whenever I say something because I don't know geography World War II, history,
Spelling.
numbers. There's 6 billion people in the United States. There's no way you're going to meet every single one of them. Freaking look it up, Patrick. Go ahead. Look it up. Tell me how wrong I am. I know what's coming. Patrick's whole goal is to disprove Justin.
No, but there's definitely not 6 billion people. There's like 6 to 8 billion people on the planet. So we don't.
That's what I meant.
The
planet. The planet. How did I know I was going to mess that up, right?
The actual number is 340 million, which is still a good number. As of September of last year.
He was just a little off. It's okay.
But I think your point stands well because you're right. Like whether there's 340.1 million people in our country or 200,000, like there's no way for you to possibly meet everybody and meet all of your potential customers. And one thing that was really big in our company was, maintaining your digital storefront and maintaining that presence and keeping it consistent with your brand. Because, in a lot of ways, I mean, we're in insurance, so in a lot of ways, ours is a 24-hour business. Somebody could get into an accident at 3 o'clock in the morning. And while I will not be in the office to take their call, there are people who are doing that, and there are resources online that they can access. So I think that maintaining that digital storefront is as important, if not more important, than a physical one. And I think whether you're actually selling a product or a service or anything like that, when I say digital storefront, I don't mean like, hey, here's my retail location. I mean just that presence online. It's extremely important.
When it comes to marketing and social media specifically, Donnie says he's working on trying to transition to a lot more social media right now. I do a lot of it, right? I mean, hell, we're on a podcast right now, but I'm not marketing my business. But social media, YouTube is social media. Do you guys think when it comes to social media advertising, videos outperform just static billboard posts? Personally, do you think there should be a mixture of both?
I think it should be a mixture, but more video. I think people want to see that you're a real person, not just, a voice behind a picture or something. I mean, they want to see a real person, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think videos are probably going to be better.
I think to an extent, I 100% agree that videos are better, but I also think that there's a limit on it. You do need some of the static advertising, and I know for me at least, like if I'm flipping through videos online, if I see one that's like 20 minutes long, I'm probably not going to watch that if it's not something I'm super interested in. If it's not like, hey, here's how to grill the perfect steak, I'm willing to give 20 minutes for that. But if it's somebody advertising their business for 20 minutes, I'm not going to sit through that.
I think you get like 15
I'll let it play
seconds.
for a few seconds.
Yeah, you get like 15 seconds
So,
for like not something I'm interested in. Just to see if I'm interested.
Right. And so I think like to that end, like you can't just throw videos of whatever. You do have to be really selective.
And you got to be to the point, right? Being very specific on what you're talking about, what you're marketing as well. I think this is a good point now to give an example. Donnie, you just done some videos. What's your thoughts on us pulling up one on the screen on this podcast and showing it to the world for an idea?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we will insert that right here.
Ever had an appliance breakdown, copper repair, get charged even if they don't fix it? Yeah, that's frustrating. Most companies are going to charge you a service fee just to come out. Typically, they're going to charge you $100, $100 to $125 just to walk through your door. Not us at Advanced Solutions. You only pay if we fix the problem. So if your fridge isn't cooling, your washer won't spin, or your oven won't heat, call us today. No risk, no service call fee, just an expert repair.
Have you seen, Patrick, have you watched Donnie's new Facebook marketing stuff?
I have not. I need to. I honestly have not been on Facebook since Winfest.
What an
Because
asshole. Speaking of committees, you joined the Chamber of Commerce. Do you think being socially involved in the community would play a big factor in marketing?
I think you get out of it what you put into it. I will say, so I'm on the board of directors. I've been a part of the chamber since we've opened. So what is that? 2.5 years now? 3 years? 3 years, I guess. Golly, time
Math.
flies. I've been a part of the chamber since like a month after we opened, and I'm on the board now. I have been for almost a year. I think that it helps, but you have to be specific about what it does. For our industry, it helps with branding. When we have big events and things like that, people get to see me out in the community and interacting. It's not a huge lead generation source for me, so I have to be careful to manage my time because a lot of times I can get sucked into a bunch of different things, and I'm trying to do better with that this year. Last year I was at every possible thing and things like that, but what I find is most of the time, and this is true. It's about scale, but I feel like this is true in all the different states that I've been in. In Indiana, we live just outside of Indianapolis. In Georgia, we're just outside of Atlanta. But at a certain point, you're seeing the same people every time. In any given social organization like this, they may have a lot of members, but how many are active and truly going to all the events? And how many new people are you seeing there? Here in Texas, we live in a small town. I mean, so there's 5 to 6 people that we see consistently at these events. So after a few of those, like, it's not the lead generation that I would like it to be. Bigger events and the chance to get in front of other business owners and things like that, that's a little bit different. But even, we were part of the Fishers Chamber of Commerce when I was up in Indiana. And they had a bigger group, but it's still the same concept. You're seeing the same group of people. Now theirs was like 30 people, but still, after a year or 2 years, you're seeing the majority of the same people, so you're not going to get many leads out of that. Back in where we lived in Georgia, it was about 25, 30 people that were kind of consistently at most of the events. There's about 12 that were core, and then a decent amount of other people that show up some of the time. So yes, they can be extremely beneficial, but you have to manage that give and take, because on one hand, you do get out of it what you put into it. On the other hand, you have to determine how much of a benefit that is for your business. If you're spending, like I was occasionally last year, 30 or 40 hours a week doing Chamber of Commerce stuff, and you generate 2 leads out of it, like, is that the best way to go about it? No, not at all. If you're doing a little bit more like I am this year, where I'm trying to manage my time with the chamber, and we still get some leads out of it here and there, but I'm investing less time, and I'm investing more of that time on my business. That's a much better application.
So ROI on your marketing strategy, whether it's return on investment or your time, your time is an investment as well. ROI is a big factor in your marketing. And I think, in my opinion, marketing is one of the hardest parts of running a business because it's always changing. You always have to adapt, but you also have to stay consistent with what you're doing. Right? If you're not
Absolutely.
consistent and you throw out one Facebook post, that's not going to go anywhere, right? You put one billboard up in town, you're going to have a few people see it, but not everybody. The great Grant Cardone, right? I'll mention him. Everybody talks about Grant Cardone. Preaches on omnipresence, and I think that's a big factor in today's market. You have to be everywhere. So when you think about your marketing strategy, put a lot of time into it and continue to invest time and money into your marketing strategy.
I think one thing, Justin, that I would like to hear a little bit more about from you, you do a lot of social media marketing. And I think that for a lot of people, if you're not a business owner, you think it's really easy to calculate that ROI. I know before I started my first business, I was like, oh, it'll be easy. I'll see, like, I'll do this and then however many I get out of it. And that's great, right? But I think with social media, it can be a lot more difficult. So how do you track your ROI on the Facebook videos that you're producing and making and things like that?
So this is going to be a complex and short answer. I don't.
Mhm.
So I treat a lot of my social media marketing as a billboard, as it being static, right? I do put a lot of time into it, um, but it's very short segments of time. For instance, for the office this morning, and it doesn't always have to be work. I want it to be fun as well. That way, it's not life sucking essentially. Just trying to film ads all the time. Like I don't want to do that. This morning in the office, we filmed a Pictionary contest. Like we was drawing Pictionary. It's about just being present, right? Just people seeing you. I'm not expecting anybody to click my ad and say, "Oh, I want to buy a service from this guy." But I want people to see my name. I want people to recognize that. And then when they do see an ad come up on Google or something, it's like, "Oh, I've seen that name. Maybe I should check out to see what he's buying or selling," right? So it's more of a subliminal advertising for me that I can't directly track the ROI.
And I think that's important for people to understand because a lot of times, as a business owner, I know for me at least, you invest so much into your business and you want to track as much of it as you can, but there are a lot of aspects that are just to an extent untrackable.
Correct. You cannot track exactly what your performance is unless your business is a social media business, right? And then you're getting paid off of what you're producing. Um, Outside of that, you can track ads if you're running social media ads, how many clicks you're getting for what you're paying for. I don't run a ton of social media ads. I've got a couple, but and those I can calculate my click rates. However, the majority of my content that I produce, I will never know how many people, bought from me that saw that video. Never know. So it's not always important to track your ROI. It is important to track your time and make sure you're spending your time on what you believe will make you profitable in the long run. Um, but the ins and outs of every video, there's no point in trying to. Does that answer your question on how I track it?
Yep.
Cool. I don't. All right. Man, we are totally running out of time. But let's grab one more point that AI says is simple. I think we agree that it is completely wrong on marketing plan on being simple. It says focus on sales and customer service. Essentially, develop a sales strategy that includes lead generation, nurturing. That's a weird word. I'm not really sure how I feel about
I
nurturing.
don't think I like that one.
Conversion tactics and follow-ups. I think all of that is super important. I think you need to have a strategy for developing leads. Kind of goes into your social media or in whatever marketing you're doing. You need to have a way to develop leads. You need to have conversion tactics, right? Asking for the sale whenever you're talking in leads, because every business, I don't care what it is, it's a sales business. There's always a sales aspect to everything. Um, and follow-ups, on the sales. I think customer service, honestly, like Donnie was saying earlier, is one of the most important factors when it comes to running a business. Without good customer service, yes, you can sell a ton of stuff, but are those going to be repeat buyers? No, right? And who is the best person to sell to? Somebody that trusts you, somebody that believes in your product. So I think focusing heavily on customer service um, is greater than lead generation. I'm not saying you don't need both. I'm saying customer service is more important in most industries than lead generation for the long run. Who would disagree with me? Because I would like to know why.
I 100% agree with you.
That's it. Everybody agrees.
Everybody agrees.
Yeah, I agree because at the end of the day, if you can put yourself out there, but if you can't handle what's coming back to you, what's the point of putting yourself out there?
You can spend a ton of money on marketing and you can sell a ton of books on your bookstore, and you're going to continue to have to spend a ton of money on marketing if you're providing bad service on the front end, because those repeat customers don't come back, and you're going to always have to target new and more customers. I use a bookstore for an example because everything else here is service based, right? A bookstore is not, but it still needs to be service based, because if it's not, you're going to spend all of your time, money, and effort searching for the new leads, finding the next buyer, finding the next customer, basically being the door-to-door salesman that nobody wants to talk to.
Absolutely.
I've got nothing against door-to-door salesmen. Like, there is a need for their job. I don't want to be one. I'm not saying I have not done that. I in a previous career, not previous career, previous job, I was required to go door to door and knock on people's door and sell stuff. Was not
It
a big
works.
fan of it. Is it effective? 100%. But then it goes back to you're just searching for the next customer.
One thing I will say on that point, though, like, because I agree with everything you said, but I think that part of being a successful business owner is having the resolve and the drive.
What?
Sorry.
Can you say that again?
What?
Do what?
Can you say that again?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's not going
I-
to say that part again.
No.
You got one.
You
And
agree with everything I said? Come on, Patrick. What are you doing, man? You're
And it's
supposed to be
recorded,
opposing what I
so-
say. Oh, it's hard there. I can rewind it and watch that as much as I want to. It's gonna make my
Yeah, and it's
ringtone.
gonna
It's
something
gonna be on a
something that's
loop.
gonna end up like on a loop in the next podcast. He's gonna ask a question. I agree with everything you said. Just cut me out and
Ideas.
just start inserting that. But I think that part of being a successful business owner and being committed enough to make this successful is knowing that, hey, if push came to shove, I am willing to go out and sell door to door because I believe in myself and my product that much. You know, thankfully, I think, or at least for me and you, because we're in the same industry here, we are successful enough that that's not part of our day to day. But if I needed to do that, I would 100%, no shame about it, walk out and start knocking on doors if that's what I needed to make it make sense. You know, and I think that that's what's not on any of these AI lists, because that is something that AI can't properly calculate, is that will and the desire to do it. You know, for every successful business that people are out there looking at and aspiring to one day be, there are thousands of businesses that fail. Most businesses, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dustin, because you probably know this statistic better than I do, but I'm pretty sure that most businesses don't make it either 3 or 5 years. You know, most of them are done before then.
Regardless.
Oh, but you know, I think that's the difference a lot of times. You know, you can be learning, you can be adapting, you can be working on all of these things that we talked about. You can not be great at it, but just be doing good enough to survive. But if you're not willing to put in the work and to say, hey, you know what, I may own the business, but I'm willing to do the lowest job here. I'm willing to clean the toilets if that's what it takes. Which I did tonight, ironically enough. But if you're not willing to do the lowest job at your company, then you're not going to be successful. You don't have the right grit, you don't have the will, so don't waste your time. Stick with your job.
Donnie, there's a quote that I'm pretty sure you have read and you have heard. But what does it take? Alex Hormozy said this. What does it take to be the best business owner?
I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think it's something to do with action.
Yes. But it is, in order to be the best, you have to do the things that nobody else
That nobody else
is
is
willing
willing to do. Yep.
to do. Right? That goes into exactly what Patrick just said. As a business owner, you don't get to sit back and just say, hey, this business is going to be great. It's going to run itself. It doesn't mean you're going to be always doing what the business is about, but you are always working. You are always doing something. You are always doing something more than what anybody else is doing. It just may look different to everybody, right? I do a lot of social media. I rarely sell the product that my business sells. I do a lot of team development. We have team meetings every single morning, you know. Some motivational, some get your shit together, but we have it, right? And that's what my job comes into. And it's kind of funny we talk about that. It all comes in circles. In one of the meetings, or in a meeting I had with my team today, we went around the room and we each said what we thought the other person's job was, right? And it was very dangerous. We also said in a team meeting setting what we believe every single person has done really good at in the last week. Hey, I just won an NBA bet. And what we think everybody could improve on.
I'm in Texas, so that's gotta go. No betting in Texas.
We'll see. It could be it could be friendly, like no sports bet.
Oh, there we go.
So, we said what everybody has done good at and what everybody has done bad at, or not necessarily bad at, but could improve at. What I have done good at is being present, being there to help them. Like that kind of was a unanimous thing that, hey, Justin's done good at this for the last week. I was available. What Justin has not done good at, and it's something that I'm trying to work on, undiagnosed ADD, 5,000 things going on in my head all the time, bouncing back and forth, losing my coffee. They all said I need to focus a little bit more on my projects, which is true. I accept it, right? Constructive criticism. I don't even know how I got on that subject, but see, how did I get there? Can anybody tell me?
That's hilarious. You got there by talking about roles and responsibilities and how you got to be willing to do everything. Oh man.
See, I lost it. I
Oh.
lost it. ADD. Cool. Well, to wrap up this segment, AI is pretty close. This is kind of what you have to do to start a business plan. There's a lot more involved than what it says. Talk to other people, research your industry, be willing to do what nobody else is willing to do, and you'll have a successful business. Stay consistent. Who wants to close us out with some final thoughts? Patrick does. He likes to talk.
I think my final thought, before I pass it back to you guys, is starting a business is not as glamorous as people think. It can be extremely rewarding. It can be financially rewarding. But the difference between me and other people is that I have this innate desire to be in control of everything. I don't do well even as a manager. I've been a manager fairly high up in multiple organizations, and I don't do well because I don't have absolute control. The reason that I do well as a business owner most of the time is I have to have absolute control. And I'm not saying that you have to be exactly like that, but you have to understand that owning a business, there's a lot of trade-offs. It's not the most cut and dry thing. And I think that social media glamorizes it a lot, but I run a fairly successful business, not the most successful, but definitely on the successful spectrum. And most weeks I still put in 50 to 60 hours. Now, it's not always 9 to 5 every day, but there's a lot of work to be done. And at the end of the day, it's just you. You have the resources behind you that you can hire out, but at the end of the day, nobody cares about your business more than you do. And so you have to have that grit. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And you have to realize that success is not guaranteed. It's not going to come automatically. And if you can be happy any other way than owning a business, if there's anything else out there that makes you happier, do that instead. Because owning a business is not for the faint of heart. I think that if you don't have that desire and that need for it, it's easy to get sucked into it and think, oh, this is so great, I'll be able to do all these things, and you're not gonna ever be able to get ahead and get where you want to, because you're gonna be too busy trying to live the life that you think comes with owning a business, and you're never going to get to that successful part that you need to actually enjoy it.
Donnie, would you do anything different other than being a business owner?
After being my own boss or having my own business, it's tough. It it would be tough to work for somebody again. I mean, I may have to for a little bit till I get this marketing going better. But I think owning a business is. I think everybody should own a business. I think that should be the goal of everybody anyway. I mean, be independent and be successful. But I will go back to what Patrick said earlier. I think you have to believe in your business. If you don't believe in it, then don't do it. I was told by somebody, I think I told you, Justin, before, and the guy said, if you're scared to promote your own dang business, you're a weenie. He was talking about promoting on Facebook, because I never promoted anything on Facebook before. So if you don't believe in it, then don't do it.
I don't know what any of these three are talking about, any of you three are talking about. This is easy. I don't do anything. All I did was follow a chat GPT script. I started a business and now I'm wildly successful. Living my best life, drinking my non-sponsored A&W, zero sugar.
He must be using
Okay,
AI because I just got a TikTok notification from him.
Did I post a TikTok?
Can this be in my little like cut frame? It's harder to start a business than it is for the Atlanta Braves to win a freaking ball game this year.
That's going in the podcast. However, they won dramatically a couple days ago.
Yes, but we're 1-8.
I said a couple days ago.